Hi, my name's John. Welcome to another Sunday night nightcap. It's a nice nightcap. The little Willesco steam boiler that my friend Bob come and repaired last week, I put a fire into that and we'll actually get that working, the little steam roller. I'll show a little bit of that. I do quite an involved screw cutting job to repair on a horn of a Deltic diesel loco. I modify the end of a crankshaft on a little Honda engine so it can take a pulley to drive a farm stacking elevator. So it's quite a variety of machining, a little bit of welding, some heat shrinking. I'm sure you'll find it interesting. I've had a week off work, so I'm getting quite a lot sorted out, especially up in the top shed. I've dragged my furnace out and I'm going to make a start possibly this week to try and get some casting done. I've got one or two bits and pieces to cast for various people's traction engines and steam engines. I haven't done any casting for quite some time, so I'm looking forward to making a start with that. The names are still coming in for me monthly draw. Don't forget, if you haven't entered, all you've got to do is send me an email. That's my email up there. All I need is your name, like your full name, John Mills, not just John. Your name goes into the bucket. It's drawn out first Sunday in every month. If it's your name, I post a prize after you, and there's some really good prizes for this month's draw. This is a little 4-stroke Honda petrol engine, and what the lad wants us to do is make an adapter so you can fasten that pulley onto that shaft about there so you can clear the exhaust. So he needs a shaft extension making for it. There's no keyway in there. That shaft there is just under 20mm parallel. So what I'm thinking about doing is machining a piece of that down. That's AN8 bar for a job I did earlier, didn't work out. Machining that down to be an interference fit on there, shrink it onto there so it's going to be on there forever. Machine a keyway in there, bore that out to suit and put a keyway in there, then you can slide these sprockets or these pulley in and out. Once that's on there, it's on. It means you can't do anything with the engine. Once that's on, it's going to be on forever. Possibly even welded at this end just to make sure. It's not going to be used a lot. It's for an old stacking elevator. It's basically not a botch up, but it's just something to keep them going. It's cost them no money. It's not like we're going to be causing damage, something that's irreparable. It's just something to keep them going. So we'll cut a bit of this off so we can make it a good fit on there. Probably 3 or 4 thou interference. Heat this up and then slide it on, shrink it on. Shrink fits are tight. I'm going to take one light cut off here just to clean the OD up. Right, that hole there is 1/10 of a mil smaller than the shaft, and that's quite warm. So we'll leave that alone now, let it cool down, and hopefully that will be a decent shrink on fit. Right, I'm going to go for that fit, 1/10 of a mil, which is roughly 4 thou. Part this off now. I'm going to put a 6mm key up the centre of there. 5mm would have been better, but I haven't got a 5mm brooch, so 6mm it is. Right, so if we half that reading, that gives us the centre. Which is there, with the lock off the table like that. What you do is put a milling cutter in there. That's for drilling holes, not milling slots. We'll change it over to a proper collared holder, proper collared chuck rather. I just take late cuts, I'll get it here without using any button fluid. And that's 6mm keyway, so 6mm T steel, that's fine. I'm going to drill and tap 2 6mm grub screw holes in there. I don't think it'll need it once the shrink on fit, but people like to see screws into crankshafts, I suppose, and I can put a flat on the crank and then the 2 grub screws just to make double sure. This is really nice steel to machine. I need to bore this out so it fits across the shaft. I've got a parallel in there, and that pulley is pushed up against the parallel, and the back face has been machined. I've got a centre in here. All I need to do is clock that in to 0, then we can bore the hole, obviously taking that parallel out before we bore the hole. Right, so it's quite a bit of run out. That's the highest bit there, so it's got to go away from the highest bit. Got to go across that way a bit. Getting better. High point again, so it needs to go across that way. High point's that one. So if we loosen off opposite jaw, tighten that one. Getting better. Pretty near now. Right, settle for that. It's just about going to go on, so I'll take another cut at exactly the same setting, spring cut. That's quite a stiff boring bar, but there is spring in it. It does actually whisper very slightly, and that will probably be enough to make it a good fit. I don't want to be too tight that you can't move it, but you don't want this wobbly slack. That's sort of the dog's bollocks, that's absolutely spot on. And so the difference between going on and not going on wasn't much. There's a little rag on the end of that slot there, that's why it went. Right, so happy with that. Right, I've put a flat on the crank. You don't really know how I did that, and that's got to line up with those two holes, so we'll get it hot and see if it'll go on. I've got a persuader ready just in case. 4,000, it should go on. Starting to change colour there now, starting to go red. Right, here we'll go. So it's got two chances, it goes on or it doesn't. Get on, you bastard. I can assure you that that is going nowhere. It's got a hole already. That's going nowhere. That's about the satisfying thing I've done all day, that. I can put a bolt up the end as well with a big washer on, but that's just going to go nowhere. No, it's not. Right, we'll get it cooled off. I put the two grub screws in. All we need now is a keyway cutting. and that'll be absolutely spot on, I would think. I will make a washer to fit in the end of there and a bolt that goes up into the inside of there, just to keep it can't come off, but it won't do any harm. So we've got the bolt in there, we've got them there, and a 4-thou interference fit. 2-stroke crankshafts aren't that tight. I made a little bolt and a recess washer to go in the end of there, just to make double sure. It's not going to go anywhere, but it's just like belt and braces now. Finishes the end of the crank off as well, it makes it look better. Right, now we'll have to make an adapter so I can put a key into there, keyway into there. I need to make a guide for the brooch to do the keyway and this pulley. I normally use steel, but I'm going to use aluminium for this one because it's not going to be, it's only going to be used once, I would imagine. Nice to hear those chips are breaking aluminium. You normally get horrible stingy bastard things of it. Excellent. That's what we're looking for. Right, so the guide goes into the pulley with the slot opposite the screw hole, and then the brooch goes into there. You push the brooch through and you keep putting the shims behind the brooch until you get it to full depth. Naturally it won't fit in there, so I'll have to adjust this down a little bit further. It's just a small arbor press. A bigger one will be handy, but it's space, you know. I've got nowhere to put one. So I need another packing piece under there to drop that table down. Needs to drop down half an inch. Right, so we've got that suitably clamped, and that's nice and free, ready to start the working process. Everything's lined up. Looks good. You can see that it's cutting the keyway quite nicely. I'll put some more shims in there so it cuts a little bit deeper each time. Right, the moment of truth. It's certainly going nowhere. And you put his pulley, basically wherever he wants. Right, there you are, Shane. I hope that will do for you. You've got no idea how much time I put into that.